Well, the history, if you go back into history of China, it's been ebb and flow. Various kingdoms came big and became smaller as the power improved. But though it's not here, one fascinating aspect has always been that the kingdom of China, whether it be the Tang dynasty or all the other Yuan, Ming, unless they controlled Sichuan and Gansu, they could never expand because the passes into Tibet and Xinjiang were controlled by these provinces. So a Han kingdom, uh, historically Sichuan and Gansu and all have not been part of the Han heartland, which I'll show later in the map, uh, the essence of the Han heartland when I talk about China's security strategy as part of its grand strategy. The story we should see from the Qing dynasty. Uh, while we talk of 800 years of outsiders ruling us, starting from Muhammad Ghori, who came from Afghanistan, China has a similar story. Around the 13th century, mid 1200s, is when the Mongols captured China, the Yuan dynasty. Kublai Khan is known as Yuan. He established the Yuan dynasty and he spread China into Central Asia also. They were outsiders. There was a brief period of Han control by the Ming, but after that came the Qing dynasty, who are actually Manchurians. Manchuria, as you know, North China, is not part of Han. To protect from the Jin kingdom, the Manchus and all, they had over many kingdoms, they made this great wall to protect themselves from the Mongol hordes. And the last dynasty to rule was the Manchus, and only after that now, when the Republic was formed, that the Han took control of China back again. So essentially from the 13th century till the 20th century, they were ruled by outsiders. So that is the reason why I'm going to take this history starting from the establishment of Republic. So basically, Dr. Sun Yat-sen and the Republic, and then the warlordism, Chiang Kai-shek, his standoff with the Red Army, which led to the Long March, and the arrival of the Japanese and World War II, and which gave the rise of the dragon, the PLA. That is, the dragon rose then. These are the two prominent figures during the Republic time. Dr. Sun Yat-sen. I will be talking about his works later when I discuss the grand strategy, what he gave, because that was implemented only by Deng Xiaoping onwards, not by Mao. He is the one who's respected across both sides of the Taiwan Straits. He's the one who established the Republic, the first Republic, 1911. But he was soon overthrown by the figure on the right, the General Yuan Shikai. He was the leader of the CNC of the Beiyang Army. Beiyang in Chinese Mandarin means Northern Ocean. So they were essentially from the north and around the Bohai Sea. And Beijing and further up Shandong and Liaoning, these areas they were part of. So hence the name Beiyang Army. But this was the strongest army that the king had, the Qing dynasty had. And they came with Sun Yat-sen. He overthrew him. He wanted to become the emperor, but he died in early 1920s. And Sun Yat-sen came back again as the president of the Republic, along with Chiang Kai-shek. But unfortunately, Sun Yat-sen died in 24, and then began the rise of Chiang Kai-shek. He was his protege, And he's the one who raised the National Republican Army, NRA, and he was the became the commander-in-chief of that, and he was called the Generalissimo. And he used the Soviets helped him to gain strength to overthrow the warlords, and the CPC initial stages also worked with them. So he is also known as the Red Army in history, or the Red General. I stand corrected in history, Generalissimo Chiang Kai-shek. There are a lot of quotes, I will say here, which is incorrectly given to Mao when they say that there can be only one sun or there can be only one tiger in the hill. It is actually there can be only one sun in the sky, and that Chiang Kai-shek had said, not Mao. Mao quoted him, but original statement that there can be only one sun in the sky is Chiang Kai-shek, and which the Chinese follow even today.
Correct.
And that's why they have a problem with rising India in Asia. That's Chiang Kai-shek. CPC was founded initially in 1921, and they had a very small militia with them at that time. Nothing much to write home about. But with the Soviet help, even then, they had started subverting people within the NRA. So Chiang Kai-shek came to power, and he started attacking the warlords. When Yuan Shikai died, his chiefs in various regions, they became the warlords, and they were dictating terms. Something like what happened in Afghanistan after the Americans left initially in the early 90s till the Taliban came in. There were warlordism everywhere. Same in China. He is the one who overthrew a whole lot of them. But he became suspicious of the
CPC.
And he started attacking them. So that was when the Red Army, that is the Workers and Peasants Red Army, was formed on 1st August 1927. And there was open war after that between the NRA and the Red Army. The below you can see on the left the flag of PLA with the star. The figures that you see on the side indicates 1st August in Mandarin. So they have it on their flag itself, the star and 1st August. That is the raising. 1st August 27 is the raising of the PLA, and that is why July 2021, the 200s of Xi, 2021 was so critical for him, because the CPC was formed the first time in 2021. Now, when they got defeated very badly, they had this long march. As you can see on the right, that map indicates the various regions from where the Red Army pulled back. And it was Mao who controlled them, all of them. They were very demoralized. And that is the point from where Mao Zedong became a prominent figure in the Red Army. He was also one of the founding members of the CPC, but he was not that strong at that point in time. It is here that he made his mark. Then he realized one thing, that unless you have the people with you, something like what the Communist Party of Russia had done against the Tsars, he started that. And these were the 3 rules and 8 points he dictated to his people, and which he said, you have to follow these orders. In the rural area, this meant a lot to the local people, because he was in the north. Now, he was also benefited that when he was in the north, the Soviet Union was next to him. But the Soviet Union itself in that period of time was going through Stalin's purges. So there was nothing much they could do to support. So he lay low. And his biggest, you could say, luck, the greatest luck that he had was that was the time when the Japanese from Manchuria attacked Beijing and attacked China. So Soviet Union got around to Chiang Kai-shek and the CPC that you need to join hands to counter the Japanese. So from 37 to 41, whatever little they had, the CPC agreed to help Chiang Kai-shek. But post 41, they did nothing of that sort. Because by then the Moscow had been defended by the Soviets, and they knew that the Germans had reached their limit, and it was just a matter of time before the Soviet Union would go on the counteroffensive. So from that time onwards, they started protecting themselves and gaining weapons and equipment from the Soviets and gaining their strength and spreading their mass rural base into the peasants. And that is the rise of Mao era.